Is the mic on?
Hey, Benny, my mom told me this story. It was a dream.
There was this little prince with a magic crown, and this evil warlock kidnapped him, locked him in his cell in this huge tower, and took away his voice. There was a window with bars, and the prince kept smashing his head against the bars, hoping that someone would hear the sound and find him. The crown made the most beautiful sound that anyone had ever heard. You could hear it ringing for miles. It was so beautiful that people wanted to grab the air. They never found that prince. He never got out of the room. But that sound he made filled everything with beauty. It's time to get out of here.
Definitely time to get out of here.
That's one of my favorite clips. That is from the 1996 movie Basquiat. That was directed by Julian Schnabel. Wow. I wish my name was Schnabel. I wouldn't have had to change my name. Schnabel? That's a built-in comedy into that name. Hey, let's go see Schnabel tonight at the Centrum. Schnabel sells a lot of tickets. Just the name alone. Julian Schnabel is an artist who directed that film and I think he composed it too. And he's an artist that's known for smashing plates. His signature thing was to smash plates and then put it on a canvas and put tons of pigment over it. And it was layered, it was bold, it was exciting. But seriously, the best part is his name's Schnabel. Now, I've been wanting to play that clip for you for a long time. That clip means a lot to me. And I think it harkens back to the last episode. And I think I really missed something in episode 57 that a bunch of viewers wrote in. And by the way, if you want to correspond, the email is what'swrong@ornyadams.com. And they said, I think you're missing the point of your story about Paul McCartney. Because I told a story about being in Beverly Hills and Paul McCartney walking past my table. And I looked into his eyes. I said, that's a guy who's never enjoyed a Beatles song. There's a guy that's never danced to one of his songs and could just enjoy it for the first time the way we all did, or enjoyed it over and over again. And it didn't bring him back to that day in the studio writing the song, or who was fighting, or if somebody was sick that day, or whatever. And even if it was great, he just doesn't get to enjoy the songs. And two listeners stated it perfectly. And of course, it's our buddy Z from Singapore, who's probably getting close to 18 years old right now. But Z said this: the audio clip you played at the beginning to illustrate your point on how an artist could never enjoy art created really led me to think in a different perspective. In the same way the Beatles could never enjoy their music the way millions of people did and still do over the decades, you would not enjoy watching your comedy the same way your audience would. Your special, More Than Loud, means so much to you, and I could not fathom how much you wish your audience would understand that and appreciate the hard work that went into creating it. You know, my uncle used to say, we all like bologna, but we don't need to know how it's made. And that's basically comedy. People don't care. I'm going to sit here and talk about comedy on this podcast, but nobody really cares about comedy and how it's done. Just shut up and be funny. Continue with Z's letter. I think that as an artist, you carry the burden of knowing that your art eventually becomes more for the world than it is for yourself. This kid is so smart. Listen to this again. I think that as an artist, you carry the burden of knowing that your art eventually becomes more for the world than it is for yourself. In other words, you give birth to this art and you give it to the world, and screw you, it's theirs now. Your art becomes your legacy, and I thank you for your art. I thank you for the art you create. Well, that is so well written for such a young person. Unless this kid is scamming us all and is really a professor at Harvard who's trolling me as a 17-year-old from Singapore, and I don't give out his name. And I'm sure that's for security reasons. That's a country where I remember some people they did graffiti and they got flogged in public. That's why my tour's never gone there, because, I get in trouble for stuff every day in a country where you're allowed to say what you want to say. So The first thing I do is when I get an offer for a foreign country is I Google, what's their freedom of speech? What are they allowed to say? So thank you, Z. Smart. And the letter continues to go on and talk about algorithms and other things I talked about in the episode. And I do love the discourse I have back and forth with the viewers. So thank you, everybody that sends in. And I'm sorry I can't read everything. But here's from M. She says her name's Mel, in regards to episode 57, ironic. You're the rock star of comedy. You probably aren't able to sit, listen, and just enjoy absorbing the etherealness of your own specials or podcasts to the extent the audience can, because you're creating it, analyzing it, evolving it, dealing with the business side and the nuances and navigating it. Even if you were able to have a transcendental experience, you most likely wouldn't be able to ever experience it in the virginal way that the listener does. Well put, virginal way. I'm breaking every joke. I'm breaking virginities. That's so unfortunate. Yeah, I agree. No difference between you and the dark side of the moon. I'm going to play your comedy special backwards to see if I can trip. That's funny. Without the drugs. You're a mother effing comedic rock star. May as well break a guitar as you sign off, but I guess you've already done that to a few mic stands. There's somebody that knows my work. Thank you. Oh, there are ants in the trailer. Look at that. It's so hot in LA. There are ants everywhere. And the floor on the Shasta is starting to creak. I don't know what that means, but it's another to-do. So thank you to those listeners. Very hot here. I'm already wiping sweat. We haven't even started this episode yet. We haven't even played the theme song, so you know this we haven't even officially started 58. And we're already deep into the discussion. So I guess what I missed, and maybe what I was really saying to you guys, but I was so blinded by it, was, yeah, I don't get to enjoy my own comedy. Now, I have retrospectively, like one time I was listening to the radio in my Chaplin, no, it wasn't Chaplin, it was my Buddha bit about the Buddhas in the backyard, and that came on the radio. That's from my Path of Most Resistance CD and DVD, and I thought, that's really a good bit, and I enjoyed it, and I was fascinated by how my voice has changed, my inflection, how I'm amping it up. And I think all that's because I'm fighting for people's attention spans, because when I'm on stage, they're thinking about their phone, they're thinking about what's next, they're thinking about where they're going, and they're distracted. I don't know, it might have been in the 80s the last time I had somebody's 100% attention. Might have been that long. So I may have been completely unaware and it's funny because that Basquiat clip from that 1996 film resonated with me. Always. I love that film. And I loved the message. I loved Basquiat, the way he branded himself with Samo, which stood for same old, and he put a copyright there. He branded himself. And, he's revealed quite a bit in the Andy Warhol documentary, which is now out on one of the streamers. And it's interesting. Art is marketing. And I've never accepted that I have to market myself. Still, like the Teen Wolf movie's out, and they've sent me all these things to tweet and post and put on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, and I can't get myself to do, I don't know what. And my agents and managers are like, this is such a positive thing. Like, be part of it. I'm like, I just don't feel like promoting. And my dad told me from a young age, you're going to have trouble with this, the intersection of art and commerce. And I just want to create. I wish I could just create. But these guys, Warhol, the guy was a marketer. Basquiat was a marketer. Probably the comics that you see selling a lot of tickets are very good at marketing, or lucky. I'm neither. I just want to get up on stage. I mean, I love that time, and I'm going to talk about this later in the episode. The 1 hour on stage. I have so much to talk about. I really do. I don't know why I'm sitting around talking about this. Same old.
Another rainy day in Florida.
Basquiat, he was secretive and mysterious. He had a persona that launched him to the top of the New York City art world in just a few short years. The graffiti artist caught the attention of a local newspaper, The Village Voice, which eventually did a piece on him, and that's it. And he skyrocketed. Orny didn't skyrocket. Basquiat did. And he was good at creating myth. He was a kid from a middle-class family, and you know what? He slept in a park. And he lived he lived a life that was not so glamorous, so it looked like he was bleeding for his art. What's going on here? What am I holding up to the camera right now? Episode 58. What's wrong with Orny Adams? My name is Orny Adams. I'm holding up a green banana. I have had this stupid green banana for several weeks now. I think I bought this after, I think July 3rd. Before July 4th, I bought this. It's organic. It's showing no signs of aging except some, what looks like cancer spots here. But why do some bananas never turn green and some bananas go from green to rotten before you even get home from the supermarket? What is that all about? I mean, I did like a 2-minute search on it and I put it in my notes. I guess bananas, they need ethylene gas. That speeds up the ripening. And you can speed that up by putting it in a brown bag with another banana, which is successfully releasing the ethylene gas, or with another, like apple. Why am I telling you this? Why am I fascinated by my unripened organic banana? Why? Is it because Warhol painted bananas? Or is it because the banana's a metaphor? Maybe in life, sometimes you choose a partner, a friend, a job, a career, and your career partner banana never ripens. You picked it out. You said, you know what? This is my partner for life. Not the banana, the person you choose. And you say, this is it. You say, you know what? This is a fantastic woman. This woman's a little bit green, but I'm gonna take her home from the store. And I'm going to watch her ripen, and then she doesn't. Or your job doesn't. Just got me thinking. A stupid banana is messing with my head. A stupid banana. And people on the internet, that know everything, have assured me that the banana will eventually ripen. Well, there were 2 of them that didn't ripen, and I tried one. So what? Now it's the 25th of July. So it's been 3 weeks, and believe me, it was horrible. Like I'd have to be like stranded in the desert, starving, about to pass out to consume that green, unripened banana. Okay? That's what I have to say about that. I'm going to play a clip. And then we're going to talk on the other side of the clip. That's what they say. That's what they say in broadcasting. I'm going to play a clip, and we'll meet on the other side of the clip.
You've seen the growth of tech, social media, everything else out there on the left coast. What do you make of this? Have you ever seen anything quite like this?
First of all, screw you, left coast. I don't like that. That's insulting. The left coast. I just caught that. That angers me. Let me play it again, and I'm going to yell at him when he says it.
I'm sure you've seen the growth of tech, social media, everything else out there on the left coast.
Oh, left coast, screw you.
Have you ever seen anything
it's called
quite
the West
like
Coast. Don't be cutesy. Insulting us. Left coast. This is a clip that was on CNBC the day that Elon Musk pulled out of the Twitter deal. He was going to buy Twitter for $50 billion, and then the stock tanked, and now he's like, you know what? He signed the papers, he had a deal, he's like, yeah, you know what? I don't want to do it. This is what I hate about the world. I make a deal, I handshake, I sign something, I stick to it. You could try and renegotiate, but it's just like, another reason, business is not for me. I mean, it's okay to like screw the person a little bit, but it just bothers me. So now Elon Musk, this is breaking news. He is no longer going to buy Twitter. And so this is what the guy on CNBC said.
I'm sure you've seen the growth of tech, social media, everything else out there on the left coast. What do you make of this? Have you ever seen anything quite like this?
No, but we've never seen anybody quite like Elon Musk. But what I think is really interesting now.
Yeah. It's every month somebody pulls out of a $50 billion deal. Hey, I see this all the time. I hate that It's lazy. It's as lazy as calling the West Coast the left. What did he call it? The left coast?
I'm sure you've seen the growth of tech, social media, everything else out there on the left coast.
Left coast. Oh, the weak little lefties out there. Sure, you've seen a lot of homeless people and a lot of liberals out there on the lefty coast. Lefty coast. Now, let me tell you, this is how you handle. Have you ever seen anything like this before? This is much better journalism. All right.
And when the detective asked for DNA, Shara refused.
This is from Dateline.
What's your gut telling you that he's not willing to give up his DNA?
It was odd, but yet it wasn't odd because it's your constitutional right to not to give it, and numerous people through the years refused to give it. Now his reasoning was odd. He stated he was afraid of cloning.
That's got to be a new one, a first for you.
There was a first and last.
That's got to be a new one. I like that. That's better than, have you ever seen this before? That's got to be new to you. But the guy, this guy didn't want to give up his DNA, well, because he was guilty, but he said it was because he didn't want to be cloned. And I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't want to give up my DNA. Like right now, if somebody busted into Big Yellow, the fuzz, if the fuzz came in here right now and they said, hey, we suspect you of a crime, a heinous crime, of murder, of taking out one of your fellow human beings. We just want your DNA to prove that it's not you. I'd say, no, I you know what? I don't want my DNA on fire. You know, a lot of crimes are now being solved because a lot of people have given their DNA to Ancestry.com or something, and they keep a file, and then the police go through that file and they find similar DNAs. Like, I know people that have been contacted because they may potentially be the father of a child because of this. You don't want to give up your DNA. That's like your DNA. That's like your social security number. It's worse. It's like, it's your essence. It's who you are. And I agree with this guy. Now, this guy was guilty, so I didn't want to give it up, but I wouldn't want to give up my DNA. DNA to the, ends up with the local police. And then they're going to clone. Of course they're going to clone me. If you're going to clone anybody, you're going to clone Orny Adams. I've given so much to this planet at such a cheap cost. I don't cost that much money. So yeah, clone me. I would clone me. It's a low-cost clone. Am I making any sense? Because I haven't even thought of any of this stuff before. Well, I'm having knee surgery on Wednesday. That's why I'm doing this podcast today, because I'm going to have surgery, going under the knife. Have a knee surgery, and I'll tell you what I'm not going to do. Not posting a picture of me in the hospital. Look at me. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'll be fine. A lot of people are worried. Actually, the people worrying about me, my parents and my family and the friends, it's making me worry more. Like, I think I'm just going in, aren't I? And they're going to stick two little things into my knee and fix it, and then I'm done. I'm fine. But I'm a little, I don't want to go under. I'm not excited about going under. They're going to give me that Michael Jackson stuff, the propofol. And it's called the Twilight. I think it knocked me out for an hour. And I'm sure they're going to take pictures, the doctor and, look at this guy, huh? Remember him? So yeah, they'll probably steal my DNA. I'm not excited about that because something could go wrong. I even contacted my lawyer to do my will, redo it. And then he got COVID. And so now the will hasn't been redone. So this is basically my last will and testament. So it goes to my sisters. They can have everything, both of them. And then just give some to some organizations. Maybe I'll leave a note on my desk and I'll tell you who to donate the charity to. And Big Yellow here, I was going to leave it, to my nephews. They can have that. Knee surgery, not happy about that. You know what else I'm not happy about? You want to know what else is wrong? Besides green bananas? 90 Day Fiance. 90 Day Fiance this year It sucks. It might be the end of the franchise. In fact, I'm calling end of franchise. There's not a single story that's good this year. Not a single one. I mean, I can't even have it on in the background. I used to watch this and study it and yell at it and get frustrated, and it just blows this year. And even my younger sister that follows it religiously, and then we have these discussions, we break it all down, the sociology, the psychology. Oh, we mock them. We pretend our lives are so much better. Even she's not following this. I mean, it's just, what's going on over there, TLC? Can you not find interesting, pathetic people for 90 Day Fiance? Have we run out of people from other countries using Americans? Has America gotten so bad that people in other countries don't want to use us for citizenship anymore? A lot of them don't even want to be here. It looks like a couple of them just want to go back to where they're from. That's how bad America's gotten. They gotta fix this show immediately. This is one of my favorite shows. Sunday nights, I would reward myself after doing a bunch of stand-up shows. I would watch this 90 Day Fiance, and now I've nothing to look forward to on Sunday. I've nothing. Sundays suck. Thanks, TLC. Thanks, 90 Day Fiance. Really. You know, before my shows, have I ever told you what I do to get fired up for my shows? Have I ever opened up about that? I'll tell you a couple of things. Okay. First of all, I believe I have to get myself in a state where I almost feel like I want to cry in order to have a great show. I have to get so motivated and so focused on trying to tap into the people that will be in front of me, their psyche, what they're feeling that day. And I do this by watching music and or reading something motivational. Mostly music. A lot of Rolling Stones. Maybe it's a clip that moved me at one point in my life. Maybe it's an opera piece. This past Saturday night, I was watching Arthur Fiedler direct the Boston Pops. And then I watched John Williams. And all this was because I was watching this documentary on Star Wars. Boy, hello, Boston. Hello! Star Wars, huh? What, are you going to go down to Dunkin' Donuts and then come back and watch the Star Wars, huh? Frickin' idiot. Star Wars. And I don't cover up my Boston accent. This is just, but it does slip. I notice my dad, it slips out from time to time. But Star Wars. Yeah, I was watching this documentary. It's on, what is that? Vice. And it's like a behind the scenes. And that Lucas guy really fought to get that film. You know, a lot of these people really fought. Of course, you have to be young to have that fight. I have no fight left. I'm a wounded dog. But George Lucas fought. And most of that film was done in post. And I guess his wife, who is the editor, is credited with really pulling this thing together. Boy, would that be a fantasy. I'd love a woman to pull my life together. That sounds great. I don't want to pull somebody else together anymore. Pull me together. Find what's great about me and edit it down. Because I don't know what it is. But that Lucas guy met his wife. And she... Oh, God, Brian Palmer. Brian Palmer? Well, no, Brian De Palma, the director. Am I saying his name right? This was his advice when he saw the first screening. And he saw the first screening, you know, like all the guys were there. Spielberg, Julian Schnabel. Schnabel was there. Lucas. Anyway, De Palma, here's his advice, in case you're ever wondering. if you should always take people's advice, especially when they're more successful. Like if you came up to me and said, "What's your advice about comedy?" You could just look at me and go, you know, thank you, but I'm not going to follow that. In fact, my last special, my manager told me not to leave out the second special takes a third, said, don't do the skid mark joke. Don't do the joke about getting into an accident and the judge, the cops determining your skid mark, the speed. You know what? My head is all over the place. Slow down. The cop determines your speed by the length of your skid mark. My manager said, I wouldn't do that joke. And guess what? It's some people, it's one of their favorite jokes. So what I'm saying is question people's advice, question authority, but with respect. So Brian De Palma said, hey, Lucas, George, the director, hey, buddy, lose, may the force be with you. Like, that's the entire, in fact, idiots, every year on 1/4, they say, may the 4th be with you, or maybe every 4th of every month. Like, that's like saying Nike, get rid of the swoosh. It's like saying Wendy's, get rid of the, where's the beef? I don't know. I can't think of any examples, but that's pretty amazing. And George thought, I'm going to take it. And he actually took it out. May the force be with you. He started to question himself after that advice. And then his wife snuck it back in. How cool is that? How cool is that? And that's why editing is so important in film and in everything. You gotta, like somebody showed me something the other day that they were working on, and, you know, it needs some work. And I said, you know what? You might consider doing this, or like the first few minutes, I think you can get that down to 30 seconds. But I don't like, and this is in my notes, this is actually what I want to discuss. I actually don't like when people look at something I do. Maybe it's I send them a joke or a video I put together, or maybe they watch one of my specials, or they've heard me on a podcast, another podcast. And instead of, when I'm excited, well, what'd you think? I think you can tell I'm excited when I say, what'd you think? What'd you think? And they say, what did you think about it? That is so passive. What did you think about it? Before I weigh in, Mr. Mrs. Almighty, arbiter of comedy and art, before I weigh in with judgment, what did you think? It's so passive. Like they just don't want to say they don't like it. Just say you don't like it. What did you think? Has anybody ever said, what do you think? And then they say, I thought it was genius. No, they're delaying, and they want to hear you say, you know what? I think it could have been better. And they go, you know what? I agree with you, but I think it was, and then they're going to cause a soft landing. What did you think? I hate when people say, what did you think? Here's the other one. I put my special up on YouTube, the More Than Loud, and you know, the comments are rolling in, some wonderful, really, really inspiring comments. And I thank everybody for that. And then one person said, you know, because I make fun of celiac disease. And by the way, when I make fun of stuff, it's buffoonery. I'm being buffoonish. The real essence behind that joke is, where was celiac disease 20 years ago? Why did this just come out of nowhere? And that's what I'm making fun of. Not making fun of that you're on the toilet every 2 minutes. And by the way, California is now going to take toilet water and recycle it to tap water. They're going to purify the crap water. Now, if this doesn't cause people, this must be stopped. We cannot allow this to happen. We must do everything. If this doesn't make people start taking shorter showers, stop brushing your teeth with a faucet on, this stops immediately so we don't have to drink shit water. If this doesn't, you know, all your lawns, I have one, dig them up, dirt. We go to all dirt. If it's between beautiful grass and perhaps one day drinking recycled potty water, cut it out. What are we, how far are we taking this? At some point, is there going to be a fountain on the side of the porta potty? We cannot allow this. We have overstayed our welcome. We must make sure California never, in the world never, has to recycle the water from your toilet. And they say they can get it 100% pure. They can eliminate everything from the potty water so it's okay to drink. You know what you can eliminate? The thought that was once toilet water. We can't allow this to happen. This is my new cause. Been talking about this on stage. People just, of course, stare at me. What? Maybe they don't believe it, or maybe it's so shocking. It is so shocking that this is actually going to happen. So somebody under one of my videos on YouTube, under More Than Loud, said, basically, you're a wonderful comedian, and but to make fun of celiac, whatever it is, and then they say this: you're better than this. Am I? I don't think I am. I actually don't think I'm better than this. I think I'm pretty good at this. I think I nailed it. I think comedy will always have victims. Sometimes I'm the victim, sometimes you're the victim. But we have to laugh. I mean, I grew up hearing stories about how the Jews laughed at themselves during the Holocaust. They made jokes about themselves during the Holocaust. Like, that's the Holocaust. You have to be able to laugh, or you're going to die in this lifetime. And I invite, and this all comes back to the last clip I'm going to play about bullying. Me at the Improv the other night in Los Angeles. We've got to chill out, okay? Seriously, chill out, everybody. Everybody's all concerned about, Orny made fun of celiac. Well, let's cancel this person for saying that. Meanwhile, 20 years, we're going to be drinking shit water, recycled. That's the bigger concern. We're focused on the wrong stuff. Comedy is about something serious, something bad, something tragic, and then letting the air out of it and looking at it a different way and being buffoonish. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not attacking you, okay? But where was celiac? Where was gluten-free? Where was all this stuff 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, during the caveman time? Where was it? That's the essence of that bit. But I'm better than that. I'm better than that. You're better than that. That is so condescending. You might as well just write, what did you think of that? What did you think of that? People just drive me nuts. Do they drive you as nuts as they drive me nuts? Are you tortured by interactions? There's too many interactions. We're meant to hunt, gather, sit on the porch in a rocking chair and just look out. And if you have a dog, he's not, or she's, or your pet isn't cooped up all day in your apartment with the air conditioning on and daytime TV to entertain them. No, the dog's out running amok. In the woods. Supposed to be out there on the ferry. I'm on the porch, drinking my Bartles and James cooler. Living the dream. And then somebody's supposed to say, have you seen, what's a dog name? Have you seen, Snickers? I don't know why I chose Snickers. Have you seen Snickers? And they go, I haven't seen Snickers all day. And then somebody goes, Snickers! 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 And then Snickers. Oh, look, it's Snickers. It's Snickers running with a crow in its mouth. Snickers has a gift. Snickers hasn't been cooped up all day. Snickers happened to be alive. And I'm sitting on the porch and I'm not interacting with people. There's too much interacting with people. I'm telling you. I get enough of people when I just leave the house to do my shows and I'm in front of all you people. And then I shake hands afterwards and I say, hi, that's enough. I've got enough of you. Enough of you. Constantly being judged by you. Constantly. Everywhere you go, you're being judged. Go out to eat, you're being judged. You go to the supermarket being judged, going to the store being judged, people judging you, people waiting for you to make a mistake so they can videotape it. People just hoping you lose your shit. That's the world we live in. I want less interaction, less phone, less devices. Unless they come up with a phone that makes me lose weight by being on it more, then I want off. Sick of being accountable all the time. Like today, I'm at the gym and my parents call. I have to text right back, hey, I'm at the gym. Otherwise, they're going to worry. But, 30 years ago, parents didn't worry because they're like, oh, they must be out. They'll get, when they come back, they'll, but now, if you don't get immediately, it's too much. You used to do an appearance on TV, and then people around you would tell you if they liked it or not. Now, strangers all over the world. And there is something beautiful about this, too, at the same time. But I don't know what's winning, the good or the evil of it. But I can tell you there's too much interaction, too much of seeing people, too much of... It's too much. People used to cook their own meals every day, 3 meals a day. Now we go out for every meal. Don't you? Don't most people go out for most meals or have meals delivered? Again, you're seeing somebody to get your meal. It's all the time. It's people. What? Everything involves seeing people. You're dependent on people. How did I get off on this? Where's my co-host to tell me to move on to another subject? Honestly, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? Email me at what'swrong@ornyadams.com. That's the email. The video, older video episodes are up on YouTube. The newer ones right now are on Patreon. And eventually they get transferred to YouTube. More Than Loud, my special is on YouTube. It's free. It's free. Watch that. Especially before I start doing another one. And you can go to What's Wrong, teamwhat'swrong.com, teamwhat'swrong.com, and that's the audios on Spotify and audios on Apple Podcasts and Google and blah, 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 blah. Thank you, Ernesto Hurtado, who does the polishing or what the finalizing, whatever the word is for this podcast. I have no sponsors. Who do you want me to thank? My dog Snickers. Snickers satisfies. My dog satisfies out running in the woods, picking up animals and bringing them home to me. Thank you, Snickers. Thank you. Really appreciate it, Snickers. So I watch, this is what I was saying before this took a turn. I watch music. Okay, the Star Wars documentary got me to thinking about when I was a kid, my parents, and this is why when you're impressionable, that parents must do things, introduce art to young kids to expand their minds. We spent every summer going to the Esplanade in Boston and watching John Williams and the Pops or watching ballet. And I remember sitting under the stars and my mom rubbing my head and then running around and grabbing an ice cream and nobody knew where it was. And it was fun. And that music, I grew up just listening to classical music and listening to like how they could get me to sleep and then wake me up. And it was beautiful. And spending the 4th of July there, and they'd play the 1812 Overture by Tchaikovsky, and they would, the bells would start tolling, and then the fireworks would go off over the Charles River. This is what I was raised on. And this has influenced my comedy. Most of my comedy is written to the tempo of classical music, and it moves me. And I remember one year John Williams did all his movie soundtracks, which would be like Star Wars, E.T. There were a bunch of them, and I remember that when I was watching, like that Star Wars theme is so good that could be a classical piece on its own. It's just amazing. And to watch the orchestra do it, and John Williams, I saw this live, and I'm like, I want to find that. And so I'm finding different versions and watching different angles. And the people look like me. They look like me when I was a kid. They're happy. They don't have stress on their face. They're not worried about being videotaped. They're not worried about being canceled. They're not worried about saying the wrong thing all the time. They're not worried about looking at their phone and having their boss text them at 11 p.m. They're not attached to people. They're not connected to strangers in other countries at that moment. They're just there listening to the Boston Pops. And I'm looking at their faces, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I'm looking in the crowd. I go, is that me? Is that me on somebody's shoulder? Like I'm trying to find myself. I want to unearth the version of me when I was a kid. I want to see me. That would be my favorite thing, to see me in an old clip from watching the Boston Pops on the Esplanade in Boston. And I'm watching this, and I'm just watching this orchestra, and I love it. I love the metaphor. I love the fact that it's, 100 people with different instruments, all doing their own thing, creating a cacophony of beautifulness, of beautiful sound. There we have 100 people working in harmony, in unison, creating something great, versus the 100 people on the other side that are ruining the planet, that are causing disharmony, that are causing chaos and pain and hurting people. That's what confuses me about life. How we have one group of people that make the world a better place and another group of people that ruin it. Where do you stand? I had this discussion with a buddy the other day when I was washing my bottles of recyclables. I had a marinara sauce bottle, and I said, do I wash this out? What do I do? Because now I feel like I'm afraid to wash it out because, honestly, I'm using water. And the more water I use, that gets us closer to drinking shit water. I said, I don't want to do that. So can't I just put this in the trash like this? And why am I caring so much about the planet when outside of my house, people come up to my neighborhood and they throw trash on the side of the street? Why am I caring so much about this planet and other people are taking away everything that we're doing, making it worse? Why? And I said to him, I go, where are you? Are you a person that's leaving this planet a better place? Because I feel like I'm equal. I feel like I've done just enough. I haven't left a mark in either direction. I haven't made the planet worse or better in regards to, global warming, recycling, all that stuff. My house is solar, but what? Where do you stand? Where do you stand? So I listen to a lot of stuff. A lot of times it's the Rolling Stones, and I'm fascinated by this one clip of the Rolling Stones. I've watched it a million times. I invite you to watch it. I invite you to watch it and tell me what you think about it. Email me at what'swrong@ornyadams.com. And also, with this podcast, please, I know I did a high-profile podcast recently, and there's a lot of new listeners. I welcome you. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to share this podcast. Feel free to rate it. Write something about it. That helps me out. I never thought I would have to beg people to listen to my free content, but that's where we are in life. There's a clip, the Rolling Stones, from Martin Scorsese directed Shine a Light, a documentary on the Stones, which is one of their concerts in New York City. And there's a clip with Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, of course, because they're the leads of the Rolling Stones, and Charlie Watts. In fact, there's actually a version of the song. It's called Shine a Light, where they just stay on the drummer, Charlie Watts, the entire time, which is fascinating to watch him and how he gets into it, because he doesn't really get as much attention. Of course, now he's dead, but at the time. Watch Shine a Light. Shine a Light from the song Faraway Eyes. Maybe I got this wrong. There's a clip of Charlie Watts playing Faraway Eyes in this documentary, and the camera just stays on him. Documentary name is Shine a Light. Faraway Eyes. Okay? You're the girl with the faraway eyes. That's how Dylan would do it. Is the girl. So something happens in this song where Mick Jagger's singing and Keith Richards starts to sing harmony with him. Now, I don't know if he normally does. And it looks like Mick Jagger's kind of annoyed, like looking at him. And then at some point, Keith points at somebody in the audience and goes, shut up. And then Mick Jagger is playing guitar, comes over and sort of bumps him, kind of the way a a seal would bump you in the ocean, or a shark would bump up again, just bumps and sort of scolds them and says, hey, stop telling people to shut. And you can see that Keith is now hurt because Daddy Mick Jagger just scolded him. But by the end of the song, these two come together and they put their arms around each other and they're singing. Mick goes over with the microphone and sort of, makes up with him and says, let's sing into the same microphone. Let's harmonize together. And you see these two, it's beautiful. These two people that have a journey, that have had a journey, that have a story, that have a backstory, this brotherhood. You saw it all in that one moment in their eyes. And you just see how touched Keith Richards is. A minute ago, he's being scolded by Mick. And I can watch this over and over. I could almost write a book about this one sequence of events. It's like a movie, over the wrong side, over and over. There it is. Here it goes. Here he's going to tell the audience to shut up, and Mick's going to come over and scold him. And then, then Mick's going to make up with them. And then they put their arms around each other, and you see the love. You see the love. And I said, look at this. It's so beautiful. This is a love story. And then I start to read about it. I'm reading it. I'm like reading about it. I'm like, what's the story here? What really happened? Who's mad at who? Was Mick Jagger mad at Keith because he was harmonizing when he shouldn't have? Was he mad because he told the audience member to shut up? What was going on in the audience? Why don't we have a camera on that? Why is there no story written anywhere? And I start to read about it, and I start to read about the feud of the Rolling Stones. And what's fascinating is they don't get along at all. Keith Richards and Mick Jagger do not get along at all. They haven't since the 80s. They broke up. Mick Jagger did solo albums. Keith Richards did solo albums. I'm sure Ron Wood did solo albums. I'm sure Charlie Watts just played drums by himself in the basement. And they weren't successful. And they attacked each other in books and in songs. Keith wrote a song attacking Mick Jagger. And so I guess they were so fed up with Mick. They thought he was such a prima donna and had such an ego, and who can blame him? Who can blame him? That they started to call Mick Jagger Her Royal Highness or Her Majesty. And then in front of Mick Jagger, they called him Brenda. And Brenda, Mick Jagger didn't even know that he was Brenda. So they would go, that bitch Brenda. That bitch Brenda. I'm thinking that's why I might name this episode, That Bitch Brenda. And Mick only found out about it when Keith wrote the book Life. And he found out that he was that bitch Brenda. One writer put it perfectly. He said, Keith Richards and Mick Jagger are like a married couple that stayed together for the kids. And in this case, the kids is money. And that's why they're together. And it's just a show on stage. And it really bums me out because I love them so much. I really do. Let's play this clip. Let's play this clip before I get out of here. I've got 2 clips of me at the Improv. And the lesson in this clip is, I went after somebody when I was on stage for wearing a wool cap, and I actually felt bad afterwards. Like I attacked the person. And I don't want to attack people when I'm on stage. I like people. I like to joke around with people. And sometimes, yes, I'm frustrated the show's not going the way I want it to go, so I sort of go after somebody. Or like if they're not looking up, I'll say something and, attack them a little. But this guy, I attacked, and I felt horrible about it. I really did. And I insisted that he take the wool cap off because, it's 100 degrees in Los Angeles. Why is he wearing a wool cap? And he did. And he had a sad look on his face. And he was, maybe he was self-conscious about losing some hair. And so he was feeling his hair. And I felt bad. I couldn't even continue with my routine. And I got off stage. I go, I don't want to do that again. I was too aggressive. And the clip opens with me talking about bullying. Okay, and that I'm pro-bullying. And again, please don't write me and tell me I can do better than this. Is that what the line is? You can do better. You're better. You're better. I'm the arbiter of comedy. Please don't tell me that. I don't want to hear it. You're better than this. You're better. You're better. I'm not. Yes, I was. In this case, I was. I was aggressive. I think if you were there at the time, the other thing is, on tape, it seems more aggressive than it really is. That's also part of it. Comedy never translates on tape. Never does. I come home and I watch it. I'm like, what show is this? Because this audience was banging the tables and there was such joy. How come that doesn't come through? How come you don't feel that energy? You know why? Because video sucks. So I'm talking about being picked on in school and that it made me stronger. You know, I'd still be picking my nose right now if people didn't pick on me and shame me. And I think that we've sort of lost that, where everything has to be easy. No more picking on kids. No more pointing out people's flaws. Celebrate the flaw. I don't know. Life is tough, man. Even for me right now, it's tough. It's not easy. And I don't know if we're preparing. I mean, the verdict's not in yet because these kids aren't adults yet, but it's not, you got to get some grit under your nails. You got to be dragged through the mud, and maybe a little bit is okay. And I'm not talking about, these kids or people that are battling things, whether it's, gender identity, whether it's, mental issues. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about surface level stuff. Like if I wore a shirt in high school, I once did, I made a bold choice and people made fun of me and I never wore that shirt again. And now I never take chances anymore. I wear just black t-shirts mostly on stage. So, but please do not shame people to the point where they want to take their lives. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm also being buffoonish and taking the other side to a point to cause a reaction and then bring in the laughter. Let me just shut the hell up and play the clip. I was picked on, and so guess what? I'm pro-bullying. I am for bullying. Makes you stronger. Why do you think I'm on stage tonight? Because I was bullied. Why do you think you're sitting there? Because you were. You weren't bullied. That's why you feel comfortable wearing a wool hat when it's 95 degrees out. The audience likes it. Bullying. I hope it worked. I hope you never wear that stupid hat again in July. You idiot. You idiot. You should never wear that hat, even in Los Angeles. It never gets cold enough for that hat. Take the stupid hat off. Thank you. You look better. You look better. See? That's what bullying does. I'm smiling the whole time. You ever touch a famous person? There you go. We fist bump. I said, have you ever touched a famous person? You got to put the hat back on. I feel so. Now, this is a few minutes later. I told him I feel horrible. Put the hat back on. No, I couldn't even do the last joke because, you keep touching your head. Just put it on. Put it, please. Please. I feel horrible. I feel horrible. I take it back. You look much better with it on. You must be freezing. Put it on. I'm never going to bully again. I'm the worst bully. I feel horrible. Put it on. Get this guy a drink. Can I buy this guy something? That went full. That, boy, what a character arc right there in that clip. I went from pro-bullying to the worst bully ever to now I'm a reformed bully. Just like that. And I enjoyed that clip, but you're right. Like the viewers wrote in earlier, I'll never enjoy it the way you can enjoy it, in the virginal sense. How many clipped virgins did I just break? How many virgins did I just break with that clip? Huh? So I posted it on, it's doing better. It's funny, each clip does, on TikTok, if I post a clip, it'll either do well on TikTok or Instagram, but never both. So this one on TikTok's at about 225,000 views. On Instagram's at about 30,000 plus views. But I put it on Instagram, and this guy underneath the video, Jordan, wrote, "I'm that guy you roasted!" ! 2 emojis crying, the crying laughing. All good fun! ! Thanks again for the beer. And I wrote back, "I am so glad you weren't upset. I was concerned I went too far, or I went too hard. But now it feels like I have your blessing to be proud of this clip. I would like to buy you another beer at the next show of mine." It's my way of getting him to buy another ticket. But isn't that cool? Like, that type of interaction is great, because I was worried. In fact, I sent this clip out to a bunch of people and I said, should I post this? Was I too aggressive with this person? I'm calling him an idiot, you idiot. And in the moment, it worked because I could see him laughing and the audience is laughing. But, on tape or afterwards, it didn't feel right. It felt like a green banana. It didn't feel right. I don't know why I just yelled green banana. So I was so glad that Jordan gave me his blessing, and it's up there for you guys to watch. And I hope you enjoy it. I really do. I want to play one more clip, and then we're out of here. We're done. We are done. Episode 58, done. Surgery coming up. And I'll try and do another, maybe I'll do one the following week. There was supposed to be a guest up here today. Guest canceled. That's the worst part about doing a podcast. It's like trying to book people, beg people, explain it, give them directions, and then they cancel. So, anyway. In my present routine, I'm fascinated by the fact that we've ruined this planet. In other words, we've ruined it in the sense that we're now recycling toilet water to drink. I would say time to get off this planet and find another one at that point, right? So I'm fascinated that we want to go to Mars, which is a planet that I don't think has water and doesn't have oxygen. And we've never been to Mars, but we're all convinced we're going to go to Mars. And that's not really what the bit is about. You'll have to come see a show. Like Jordan, you'll have to come see another show, and I'll buy you a beer. So I ask rhetorically, have you been to Mars? Anybody been to Mars? Basically I'm saying, I'm not asking the question. I'm telling you, no, you haven't been to Mars. Anybody been to Mars? Well, this audience answered, and it was pretty loud at the time in the club. And then I just go, these people are dumb. These people are dumb. And I start to call the audience dumb. And what's amazing is they're laughing. And somebody commented under the clip on YouTube and said, that's how you know this is a good comedian. He's calling the audience dumb and they're laughing. I hate people. We ruined this planet. So what's the solution? We're all going to go to Mars. All of us, we're going to go to another planet. Has anybody been to Mars? There's no oxygen. You said no like anyone's been. They all just yelled no. You guys are idiots. You're legit stupid people. I'm in front of dumb people tonight. I go, has anybody been to Mars? 50 people go, no. I know you haven't. All I want to know is if we go to Mars, are they going to figure out a way that bananas always ripen? Are they going to figure out a way on Mars to fix everything that's wrong? Are they going to figure out a way to make sure we never have to drink? In fact, we're probably only going to drink toilet water on Mars. I don't want to go. Are they going to figure out a way for broadcasters to stop saying, have you ever seen anything like this before in your entire life? They need to fix all this stuff. Are people going to be wearing wool caps on Mars? Orny! That's what I want to know. Are they going to fix 90 Day Fiance on Mars? If not, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. My name is Orny Adams, episode 58. I really appreciate it. Again, I welcome everybody to share this podcast with people that they think are like-minded, that would enjoy this. And to continue coming to see my shows. Right now, I haven't been touring because my knee is injured, but I've been doing local shows here in Los Angeles. But the tour will continue in the fall. In the fall. My special, More Than Loud, is up on YouTube. And believe me, you've never seen anything like it. That's for sure. Anyway, thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful week. And I look forward to seeing you for episode 59. I mean, I could use a nap now. And you know what? I forgot to say is the mic on at the beginning. So maybe I should just start this whole thing over again. This thing, I'm better than this. Oh, I wish my name was Schnabel. I'd do a podcast called Schnabel's Table. I'd have a comedy special called Kane and Schnabel. I'd do segments called Schnabel's Labels. Oh, I could have a TV show called The Wonderful Mr. Schnabel. Oh, God, it'd be so cool.